In this video, I'm going to be breaking down why Enchantress is a hard Serpent counter. And the first fight is going to be in BGS, but what I need you to do is not take into consideration the score at the end of the fight. Because Enchantress is a champion who heavily is determined by ramping up, and in BGS, I'm only taking this fight in BGS because I don't have access to another Serpent anywhere. There's no such thing as like a Serpent boss in a quest that I can take, or anything like that. I have to find my own Serpent, and the easiest way to do that was in Battlegrounds. Enchantress is not a Battlegrounds champion, so this isn't the most ideal scenario for me showing her off, but it's what I have to do if I want to show you how good she is for Serpent. So, Enchantress's kit is entirely revolving around her spells, and she has 3 categories of spells, each with 3 or 4 spells in the category, and the category we're focusing on for Serpent is the buff control spells. So when you trigger the first spell I'm going to trigger is Dispel. You go down, up, down. And what Dispel does, it lets you nullify a buff every 4 seconds you're in Serpent's striking distance. So you can get rid of his Massive Fury, you can get rid of his power gain that way, and stuff like that. The next spell we're going to do is Up, Down, Up, which is Charm. Charm is a debuff that reduces the potency of power gain, Inexorable, and one other thing I can't remember, but it also increases the potency of Enchantress's power seal. So Serpent's power goes down, my power goes up. That's what Charm does. And then the last buff control one we're going to activate is going to be Left, Right, Left, Wilt, which is an atrophy, and atrophy reduces the duration of incoming buffs. So we use all 3 of these together to control Serpent's buff gain, whether his buff from his Fury or his power gain just naturally, or power gain on the SP2. And then from here on out, we're going to trigger our damaging spells, which we're going to pick Fireball, which is down, down, right, and then we go for 3 of them. The big thing you want to do with Enchantress is try to keep your spell categories at an even number, because if that is the case, then you get a bunch of different benefits on your SP2, which we're about to see. So when you throw the SP2, if your if the biggest count of spells you have are the purple ones, you reactivate your spells, and then if it's orange, you get extra crit rate on the special. So because we have a tie in purple and orange, we get both effects. So you can see we're reactivating the Atrophy, the Nullify field, the Charm, and our Incinerates, and the instant Incinerate damage at the final hit of the special attack, and just doing crazy damage at this point, which, of course, it took a little while to get there, but that's why I said earlier, if we ever see a 1.5 million health Serpent boss, Enchantress is just going to be there to be very good for it. And you can see the Atrophy at the very end of the fight made his debuff immunity way shorter, because it's a 60% Atrophy at that point. Before I continue further with this video, I want to explain the definition of counter. In my opinion, the definition of counter is a champion who can take the threats of a very hard defender and ignore them, or wipe them out, or reverse them in some way. And I know people's definitions of counters are very different, so when you use the word counter, for a lot of people it might just mean someone who can kill very fast. And I get that. This is not the point of this video, because this video is going to be me talking about how Enchantress can completely shut down the threats of Serpent, not how she can kill him in 60 seconds, because she can't do that. But I'm going to show you why this is going to be the best hard Serpent counter for if you need a champion who can kill like a 1 million health Serpent, which we might eventually get. Considering Onslaught was a Spring of Sorrow boss, it's not out of the picture to see a 1.5 million health Serpent boss that we're going to eventually see. And if you need someone who is going to get rid of Serpent's threats the most effectively, Enchantress is going to be that, given enough time. That's all she needs. All she needs is time, and she is going to completely destroy Serpent. And you're going to see that in the next clip especially. What I have next is Serpent on Node 46 in Alliance War. So this is off-season war. I took Enchantress in to practice her out against some matchups, and this was a big one I was excited to take, because this is a Serpent with double the power gain and Aspect of Evolution, which increases his power gain further and gives him block penetration. So this is a true showcase of Enchantress's power versus Serpent, because this is the a very difficult Serpent. It's probably the war map node that he benefits from the most, and it just makes a very hard time for a lot of counters. I've seen so many of my alliance mates die to this fight before using different champions, and I'm here to show you why I think Enchantress might be one of the best options for this. And we're going to start with Charm. Charm is going to just completely negate his power gain, and then we go for the Nullify one. Now his Fury is gone, and we don't have to worry about massive chunks of damage through the block anymore. So we're going to go for Wilt, and I've just paused the fight to remind myself what Wilt is real quick, and then I go for it. And now I'm going to go for my tanky spells, and those are the green ones. There are 3 different green ones that we're going to use in this fight. The first one is Etherealness, and what Etherealness does is it lets me regen, it's either block damage or energy damage, and then Levitate is the opposite. It's either block damage or energy damage, the other one. I don't remember the difference between them, but we also get an Untouchable and the ability to evade knockdowns from those 2. So you saw I got hit by the first of his SP1, and then my miss triggered, and then we didn't have to worry about it. And same thing with evading knockdowns. So, like, yeah, if you even mess up, like, there's so many ways you can just get saved in this fight. It's so great. And now we're gonna go for another SP2. We get our Charm, Atrophy, Nullify, Untouchable, regen through block, regen energy damage, all the fun stuff. They all come back, and now we're going to go for the damage spells. So to finish the fight off, we're going to trigger our damage spells, and once we get 3 of those, we are just going to spam SP2s from here on out. And then we just keep reactivating all of our control, and that's it. And look at Serpent. He only has 3 of his Cult Force charges, and we are over 2 minutes in the fight. I don't think I've ever seen a Serpent 2 minutes into a fight having that little Cult Force. And that's another reason she's so good for him, because you were throwing so many special attacks, you're just keeping his Cult Force down as much as possible. So we drop the SP2 now, we get some nice crits, we get some Incinerate damage, and yeah, 4 Cult Force. We're almost 2.5 minutes in, now he's at 5. But we're going to regen the block damage a good bit, regen the energy damage, and we're just spamming SP2s from here on out. That's all we got to do. And charge heavy attack, do the special 2 again, and I'm going to mess up at the end of the fight, which I'm going to explain a bit once we get there. But yeah, you can see here we're still at 72%, and he's got so much extra block damage from Aspect of Evolution at this point that just having the regen is so immense here. Because of the extra block penetration and just special damage and everything. He's getting tankier in the fight because of Aspect of Evo as well. And here is where I mess up. I just misjudged the amount of power gain he got from Aspect of Evolution, so he had extra combat power rate, so I pushed him to special 3. However, when you're doing Alliance War, you have things such as Invulnerability boosts, which I would be using if this was an in-season fight. So if I ran an invul boost like I would be doing in season, we just take no damage from the special. And he's going to be at 1%, and we'd still be at 65, and then his death immunity is going to trigger, and it barely lasts any time, because yeah, you can see it's already gone, and then he's almost dead. So yeah, we're going to go for the kill right here. Again, I just messed up, like, if I remembered the extra combat power rate he was going to have, then he just dies there. And we don't actually eat an SP3. And we have Invul in case we do still mess it up. So, there we go. She is very good for Serpent. She just needs time. That's all I need to say. 1 million, 1.5 million health Serpent boss. She's gonna absolutely wreck it. And I honestly hope that we get a 1.5 million Serpent boss eventually. Probably the first person you've ever heard say that. So lastly, I made an infographic on some of the Serpent rotations. I'm not a big infographic guy, I'm not the best at them, but this I feel like is a pretty solid rotation to stick to if outside nodes aren't affecting Serpent, like Aspect of Evo. Obviously, I changed my rotation because of Aspect of Evo specifically, but if you're fighting a Serpent with some nodes that aren't like giving him double power gain or double block penetration, then I think these are the 2 rotations to stick to. I have one for under 500k HP, and then one for over 500k HP. So the Serpent we fought last was under, but because of the extra block penetration, I wanted to get my green spells up, so I would throw that in there just to have the extra tankiness. And yeah, it's largely the same thing other than that. And then you see the large rotation, which again, a 500k plus Serpent does not exist yet, unless he's placed on like the boss node in Alliance War, or just some of the other ones on mini islands as a 7-star rank 3. But when he does, I think that's going to be a good rotation. I can't confirm that's the best one because I haven't had time to practice, but I have a good feeling that's going to be a good way to look at it. So anyway, I hope this video helped you. I hope you listened to me break down the definition of counter, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, if she can't kill him as fast as Tigra can, she's not a very good counter. That's just not true to me. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.